Hey everyone out there in YouTube land and X land. Hey Adam, always nice to see your shining face. Welcome. I have been MIA since the week before Christmas. I know Brian, my good compadre here, Brian's been out and about with live streams and videos, but I have been totally missing in action. But I am back with my very first live stream, and look for new videos popping off for me very soon. If you're new to the channel, my name is Tracy. I run this channel, Gen X Marks the Spot. I do Gen X pop culture. I do horror movie reviews, true crime, and of course some current events. Though the current events are reserved for once a week, where I co-stream with my good buddy here, Brian from the Front Porch Conservative, every other week on my channel and his channel, going back and forth. So with that being said, Brian, tell everybody about yourself and where they can find you.
Hi, how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am known as the Front Porch Conservative. Sometimes I'm called the fine fella in the fedora. On occasion, I'm called the beau in the chapeau. But in this night, I am the co-host to this wonderful lady right over here. You can find me on Rumble at the Front Porch Conservative. You can find me on YouTube at a channel called Chattin' or Talking on the Front Porch, which is going to get rebranded in about 14 more days to what it should be, which is Chatting on the Porch, because I'm an idiot and I don't realize when I got a good branding thing in front of me. Anyway, yeah, exactly. By the way, 991, baby. We're 9 away from 1,000. So if you got
Brian, I was actually contemplating. I was actually considering making some fake YouTube channels just to subscribe.
Don't you dare.
Just to get you there. I actually have 2 channels. I have this one. This is my main channel. And then I have another one that is not named this one that I actively use just to watch stuff so that I don't get a whole bunch of stuff I listen to a lot of Reddit stories at night when I sleep, and I don't want that like backlogged on this channel. So I use my other channel to listen to that. So I did subscribe to you on the main channel and that channel, but I would have felt bad if I'd made a bunch of new ones to subscribe.
No, don't do that. We're just about to this plateau of the mountain. But in the meanwhile, I'm doing live streams about current events, pop culture, whatever interests me at that moment. I did something I haven't done probably in about 10 months, which is put out a straight video.
I saw that, and I think I was like number 5 to watch that. It was cool.
I tell you what, it's been a while, but I tell you what, the time off I think has recalibrated my brain, because I'm not gonna lie, and I'm probably about to jinx myself here. As far as like cutting them, editing them, uploading them, it's the smoothest process I've had, and I couldn't tell you how long. So if you like what I do, follow me there, and in the meanwhile, follow this wonderful lady. Give her a sub wherever you can find her, because daggone it, we's both trying to get up that mountain. So, we'll take all the help we can get.
Well, same. I've been stuck at 6,750 subscribers for it feels like a year, and I just want to crack 7,000. I just want to crack 7,000, and I see new channels come out all the time that just to 10,000. I'm like, what are they doing?
I know. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, we're going to get there, and you know what? Hey, look, if Zuckerberg can turn loose on Facebook and Instagram and like kind of finally loosen it up, maybe it'll happen on Google and YouTube. Maybe it will.
I can pinpoint when mine stopped growing, and that is when I released my walkaway video. And it just was throttled from that moment on. I started losing subscribers and getting like 10, losing 5, getting 10, losing 5. That's the way it's been ever since then. I'm not getting near the reach that I was before that.
Sad. Yeah, it is genuinely sad. But yeah, we're going to have fun tonight. She's got a bunch of topics she wants to talk about. I got some topics I want to talk about. And Lord, now I promised myself, I didn't make any New Year's resolutions, but I promised myself I'm going to do my best to be calm. I'm going to do my best to be civil in 2025, because we're now about to enter the golden age.
Mm-hmm.
And then stupid walks up and slaps you right across the face.
Oh my
And it's
God.
like, oh, Lord, is there a lot of stupid out there, people? Oh, God.
I was not going to lead with this story, but I will since you mentioned stupid. And that is Biden's choices for the Congressional Medal of Freedom. I don't even think I need to share an article on this, because if I pretty much read every article, watched every newscast on it. Brian, that was nothing but a big middle finger and a slap in the face to the American people.
I
That
know.
whole, with the exception of them posthumously awarding that to RFK Sr. and maybe Mitt Romney's father. I don't know what Mitt Romney's father ever accomplished in his life other than being governor of Michigan. Maybe him. And I was not offended by Denzel Washington, because I think overall Denzel Washington has been a
Agreed.
great movement for the gospel and American values in Hollywood.
Agreed.
But
I got no problem with that.
beyond that, I was pissed off at every single one of them. Bill Nye, who's nothing but a lefty idiot, a lefty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I never watched him as a kid. I remember Mr. Wizard. That's who I watched.
Mm-hmm.
The science guru that I watched, and watched the PBS show 1-2-3 Contact. So I didn't grow up with Bill Nye. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or 3-2-1 Contact.
3-2. Yeah, one of my 6 o'clock PBS every Monday through Friday. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Used to
that's
love
what
that
I
show.
grew up with. That's what I grew up with. But that was just, I don't know where. Bono, okay, maybe he's done some philanthropy work, okay.
I can kind of see that.
But the thing that really pissed me off was Hillary Clinton, and the most egregious insult to the American public, George Soros.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Other than being a quadrillionaire, what has George Soros ever done for this country except do things that have contributed to the state it's currently in? Namely, funding the Democratic Party. He's their biggest mega donor, and deliberately interfering with local elections to get his choices for district attorneys in particular to be appointed or elected that have led to the repeal of bail, have led to basically cite and release, and the downfall of self-defense laws in this country. That George Soros is the power behind DAs like Alvin Bragg. And it really is a slap in the face of the American people to give him a Congressional Medal of Freedom, which, for those of you who don't know, Congressional Medal of Freedom is the equivalent of the Medal of Honor for military personnel. It's somebody that has sacrificed and served above and beyond the capacity for their country. Now, do you really think George Soros has done that?
George Soros is an evil man. And normally I don't use the word evil to describe someone. I mean, I'll do it in a peak fit of anger. But George Soros is evil. This is a man who conspired with the Nazis to sell people out. This is a man who's used currency manipulation to ruin the economies of whole nations and enrich himself doing it. This is a man who has helped elect people like George Gascon out in L.A., Alvin Bragg in New York, and God knows how many other prosecutors across this country who have absolutely, Kim Foxx out in Chicago is another good example of it.
Fannie Willis in Atlanta.
Fannie Willis in Atlanta, and has absolutely ruined or helped ruin major metropolitan areas in this country by putting in people that will not prosecute crime and will not take criminals off the streets.
Yeah, and penalizing normal citizens who do the simple act of defending themselves. That's probably the most egregious thing that these district attorneys have done, beyond the doing away with cash bail, beyond 3 strike laws, beyond all of that, beyond even hold and frisk, stop and frisk, which I know can be construed as very, very racist, but it prevents a lot of crime,
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you.
And beyond all of that, the most egregious thing he did was attack self-defense laws.
Yeah.
And he's one reason that it's pretty much against the law to defend yourselves in places like California, New York, New Jersey. Do you know New Jersey has no castle doctrine? If you are in your home and someone breaks in, you are first tasked with fleeing. You're only allowed to take up deadly force against them if you have no other choice.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're supposed to go out the back door, or out the window.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, and I mean, the great irony to me is a man who has done incalculable damage to the American people in so many different ways is awarded by the people's president the highest civilian award in the land. The man who's done the most damage, and he gets the highest award from the American people who is hurt the most.
And beyond that, the rest of them, outside of RFK Sr. posthumously,
yeah,
Bono and even Denzel Washington, they're right on the line. I like Denzel, so I don't really have a problem. But all the rest of them, Bill Nye, he's done nothing except be a political lunatic. Hillary Clinton, after George Soros, has done so much damage to this country. The Clintons in general have done so much damage to this country. They're the reason that Haiti we have so many migrants trying to get here from Haiti because of what the Clinton Foundation did to that country.
Yeah.
They are the cause of a lot of trouble. The fact that they've covered up the Epstein list, and I think they've killed to cover up the Epstein list.
Oh yeah.
It's just, I agree with you, Adam. Absolutely. If it had been Sonny Bono as opposed to Bono, I wouldn't have had a problem. But Sonny Bono did a lot of stuff for California.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it is, believe me, we're now down to 12 days till we're rid of that bottom feeding scum sucker, Joe Biden. It can't come fast enough. It really can't.
Yeah.
And I mean, and Trump, I mean, on a side note, and we'll wind up getting to this subject, Trump's out there tweeting, there's no water in California. Thank you for the mess you're leaving me, Joe Biden. He could say that about Joe Biden on so many different subjects.
What is Joe Biden doing? He's just angry. He's just angry at the American people because he was forced out. American people didn't do that. His party did that, but he's still taking it out on the American people. So not only was that egregious Medal of Freedom ceremony, but the fact that he's trying to outlaw offshore drilling, which Trump's going to have to unwind that. It's going to take a while to unwind that. It's going to need Congress to unwind that. He's commuted the sentence of almost every person on the federal death row list except for the Boston bomber and a couple of other very egregious. 3 people remain on federal death row. And I do believe he's now trading some terrorists in Gitmo to foreign leaders to get some other people out of shank. And also the fact he just authorized another $500 billion to Ukraine. When we've got California on fire, people in North Carolina and Tennessee still homeless, Maui's not rebuilt. Give me a break.
Yeah. No, I don't, when I heard that we're now giving another $500 million to Ukraine, I've said this before about Joe Biden, and I will say it again. Joe Biden is a mean, petty son of a bitch. And I hate to say that about anybody, but in Joe Biden's case, it's so true. He is a mean, petty, old son of a bitch. He does not mind flaunting the fact that he has power. He rubs your nose in that you don't have the same kind of power he does. And he just doesn't care what you think. The old Scranton Joe, the guy that's for the working man, all that disappeared years ago. He's tried to live on that image for years, but he is absolutely one of the most petty individuals and just mean-spirited about it. He'll smile at you. and then watch out because he's gonna put the dagger right in your back the second you turn around on him.
And the only defense I have for him is he's not mentally there anymore. But even before that, he's been evil and maniacal his whole career.
Oh,
He wants
exactly.
what he wants. He wants what he wants. The Biden crime family. I think it's the same, if not worse, than the Clinton crime family. And I do want to respond to Jacob's about being neutral. Do I think that the stuff that we read is from both sides neutral? I read, okay, I'm going to say that yes and no. I read a whole lot of what would be considered leftist media. Washington Post, New York Times. I listen to mainstream news. But I follow a lot of news on X. And on there, I do follow a lot of left-wing commentators just to get a balanced inquiry. But the problem is that right now the current state of the left is so bad that a lot of the lefty people that I used to follow are now becoming moderate. They've been red pilled, and so I'm having a hard time finding independent people that are still truly left. I mean, I'm still a member of the Young Turks. I used to watch their show a lot when I was more on the left. And I still appreciate what they do, but even they're becoming red-pilled. So it's really hard to find leftist independent media that's not completely vile.
Oh yeah.
And I get so angry I can't listen to it while I'm working without, I can sit there and listen to Benny Johnson or Ben Shapiro while I'm working and not get upset, or CBS and not get upset. But if I try to listen to the Majority Report or any of the other lefty, I get visibly angry and I can't work. So that's
there are. I mean, and I saw Lindsay the Cynical Geeks comment in chat. Yeah, I agree about Greenwald. Greenwald's a lefty. He knows he's a lefty. He'll tell you he's a lefty. But I mean, depending on the issue, I mean, but most things he's straight down the middle on it. Matt Taibbi would never. I don't think would call himself any kind of a conservative. Michael Schellenberger, would never call himself any kind of a conservative. But at least those three may be, middle to the left. But I can read their stuff and not get ticked off about it. There's another name.
Another one that I listen to is the Bulwarks. They're a bunch of Republicans. They're rhinos, but they're so far left, it's sickening. I can listen to them and not get pissed off. But most of them, I just get so irate that what they say makes no sense to me anymore.
Yeah. Well,
because they take the most leftist points. There's nothing sensible about what they say.
Yeah, and I've got something in my stack of stories tonight that actually gives me a modicum of hope that maybe there are some voices in the Democrat Party that are starting to realize, hey, we need to start focusing back on the American people, which I'll tease it with that. But yeah, most journalists on the left, I just sit there and read their stuff and just get torqued because it's like you're either gaslighting me, you're out and out lying to me, and I know you are. Because with a set of alternative media, I can find out facts that you're not even trying to present to me, or you're just ignoring in general. So it's like most people, I'll look at it, but I really don't pay that much attention to it because it's like, I know you're going to lie to me. I know you're going to gaslight me. You have no respect for me as an intellectual or an intellectual person. So why should I pay much attention to what you have to say? Which some people in the media are starting to realize, boys, we screwed up. I mean, I don't know if you saw it or not, and I'll get off my soapbox here in a second. Leslie Stahl, legendary correspondent for 60 Minutes News, for 60 Minutes, was on some kind of a panel in New York City after the election. I think it was in December, and she's up there talking with Peggy Noonan. And she said, I am literally getting scared to death about the lack of credibility that the American people view us with. And I thought, well, welcome to the party, sister.
Bingo.
Welcome to the party.
Now, on the just to be fair, there are some right wing that are like, okay, if this is right and this is far right, this is far left. Brian and I are probably right here.
Yeah.
A little more center right, but we're here. And most of the commentators I listen to are right here, maybe right there. But there are a few right wing leaning independent journalists that I think go a little too far with the clickbait and the doom fate and the doom scrolling. that do piss me off. Like, I love Alex Jones to death. He's been right about a lot of things, but he's still kind of batshit. And some of the things that he puts out, I'm like, Alex, come on, man. You know, come up full of Biden. Come on, man. I think Tim Pool does a little too much clickbait doom scrolling. I think the Quartering does that. And Jeremy of the Quartering, he's actually, his coffee brand coffee sponsors me in a lot of things. And but I told him I'm not going to hold back. You do a lot of doom scrolling there, buddy. And Mark Dice, as much as I think Mark Dice is very, very intelligent, he does a whole lot of dooming and glooming too. And that pisses me off just as bad as the leftist stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. But I mean, yeah, I mean, watching Biden give away those medals, and I'm like, I mean, I know he's going out the door. And I want to respond to something that Gypsy said a little bit earlier. He's not making the decisions. I'll agree with that.
Yeah,
I will agree with that. He's not making much in the way of decisions right now because his own people are running the show mostly, and this has been true for 4 years. Mostly Anthony Blinken and Jake Sullivan, the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor, respectively.
That black guy is that black man, as Biden referred to him on 60 Minutes.
Yeah, and Lloyd Austin. Yeah, Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense. But I mean, getting him out of office cannot happen soon enough. And yes, we're still going to be fighting with the deep state, as Gypsy rightly pointed out in another comment. I don't dispute that at all. But
until we can clean them out,
or clean them out as much as we can.
And I truly now, as far as Mike Johnson being reelected, he wasn't my first choice, but I think he's going to be fine. That video of him after the certification that was set to the theme of The Office, that was a beautiful thing. I wish I could put that thing on loop. It was so... Did y'all see that?
I don't think I did.
Let me find that.
Hey, Gypsy's got a question.
Sure.
I don't know if you saw it. It says, can you explain doom scrolling, please?
Oh, doom scrolling is World War III imminent. Just imminent. Any day now. The deep state is plotting Trump's assassination. We'll hit him on January 20th. That kind of stuff.
Okay.
Just where it's like the end of the world. You know, as a Christian, we see those end of the world predictions. That's what I like it too. And doom scrolling, it gets people to click on. It's like clickbait, but it's a very dark form of clickbait. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have not seen this video that was set to The Office, but I must admit, watching Johnson's facial expressions as Kamala was talking, it was everything that boy could do to keep from just gloating all over himself. You could see it on his face. He's sitting there. He's got this smirk like, we're just, he may as well have covered his mouth because it was the exact same expression. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was okay. No, yeah, Jimmy Carter cannot vote in the midterms. No, Adam, he cannot do that.
And isn't his memorial tomorrow or his state funeral tomorrow?
I believe so. I mean, I have not seen the official, but I wouldn't. I know he lay in state yesterday,
right?
But yeah, this is. The funeral's probably, if I had to guess, I'd say, yeah, you're probably right. It is tomorrow. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Chris from My Morning Mayhem says it is tomorrow. Yes.
Okay.
Now, is it being held at the National Cathedral in DC, or is it being held in Georgia?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe it's been held in Washington.
Okay.
I believe so, but I don't. Okay. I'm going to bring up. I'm going to bring this up and let me know if y'all can hear this.
Got no sound. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I got sound.
Oh, got no. Okay.
That's great.
Just
That's
that.
great.
That was perfect.
Now, I'm going to say something
Oh.
that people might find shocking. I give Kamala Harris credit. Okay. I really do, because it takes a lot of grace to not lose your crap
Yeah.
as you announce to God and the world that you lost, and do it on a
I agree
national
with
world
you.
stage. You know, now
I
she
agree
might have
with you.
gone back to her office and drank a bottle of vodka after it was all said and done, but in that moment, 𝗪𝗁𝗪, yes, I did see that, and I don't know if Tracy has this, but I've got the clip.
No, I don't
So,
have the clip. I just have the story surrounding it. But both Brian and I are going to cover the LA fire tonight, so you're going to get to see a lot of that. But yeah, but going back to something Adam said about Biden and Carter both being useless, I agree. Now I'm going to say something that is probably going to be very unpopular. Yes, Jimmy Carter built a lot of houses for homes for humanity, or
Habitat for Humanity.
Habitat for Humanity. Yes, he was good in that regard. But if you actually look into some of the things he did, both as a president and as a diplomat after the fact, he did a lot of undermining of the United States foreign policy. A lot of undermining. He wrote letters to try to get the PLO to reject already accepted peace deals. He did a lot of horse shit that, quite frankly, if the justice system the DOJ was fair, he could have been prosecuted, in my opinion, for treason, or at least at least some sort of subjugation. That's my opinion. So I have no love for Jimmy Carter, other than the normal love I would have for a person.
I'll give Jimmy Carter this much, and I think this is the profound difference between he and Joe Biden. I think Jimmy Carter's heart was in the right place. Mm-hmm. His heart was in the right place. He just had his head up his ass.
Yeah.
Biden has no heart and has his head up his ass.
Right. And I think Jimmy was he was in over his head. I think he should have just returned home and farmed peanuts and built houses and been some sort of like goodwill ambassador, but he should not have been actually taking on actual dealings with foreign adversaries.
No.
And like you said, he wanted to be a peacemaker. He wanted to please everybody. You can't please everybody. But a lot of that stuff was just out and out subversion of American foreign policy. What was best for American foreign policy.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I think Jimmy Carter's heart was in the right place while he was president. I cannot say the same thing about Joe Biden.
No, Joe Biden does everything he does for the good of Joe Biden.
Yeah, and the people around him are making and pushing him to do things that he otherwise would never have done 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, he would still be out for Joe Biden, but he wouldn't be doing half of the crap that he's now done and signed on to and gotten America in the middle of, and it's going to take years of unwinding it, if we can even unwind it at all in some cases.
Yeah.
So
it's going to take Trump 6 months or more to unwind the offshore drilling.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're only going to be able to drill on land, which means some of what's up in Alaska is off limits right now. What's in the Gulf of Mexico, unless it's renamed the Gulf of America by that time, off the coast of Texas is off limits now. So we can only drill now on our actual continental land, which is going to really hamstring us in trying to double energy production.
Yeah, and I think Welsh is absolutely right. Even the guy from Naked Gun would have made a better president than Joe Biden. Yeah, I'm all for Leslie Nielsen's character from the Naked Gun. Absolutely.
Well, I've droned on here, so I'll turn it over to you, Brian, for any subjects you may have.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Since we're going to do a topic jointly together, I'm going to do one of my side topics. And I've said for the longest time that I did not think that there were any voices left in the Democrat Party that could start the process of pulling it back to the center. I may have to rethink that proposition. Did you guys happen to catch John Fetterman's appearance on Fox News the other night with Bret Baier? Now, let me add a caveat to this, okay? Do I think that John Fetterman is going to join the Republican Party? Well, no, if he's got any good sense, he won't, because the Republicans in large part are just about as bad as the Democrats. Do I think that John Fetterman is a conservative? No, I don't think he's a conservative. He might be on some issues, but not teetotal down the line what you consider a doctrinaire conservative. I do think that depending on the issue, John Fetterman will approach it with some common sense, and in doing so, actually start to, in his own way, pull his party back from the edge of ideological oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't get me wrong, all things being equal, I wouldn't mind seeing the Democrat Party and its ideology go into the dustbin of history and be done with you. You're out. However, I gotta give Fetterman credit. And Tracy, I don't know how you want to do this. Do you want me to send you the link, or do you want me to share it here? Or okay,
go ahead and share it, and I'll pop it in there.
All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pop this in private chat. So give me 1 second. There are 2 clips here.
All right.
And this first one has to do with the questions about Greenland and the Panama Canal. And the second clip has to do with the Lake and Riley bill that's now working its way through the Congress.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're ready to pull them up, let me know.
I'm going to pull up the first one right now.
Okay. Yeah, this first clip has to do with the question of, oh my God, are you hearing about Trump's rhetoric? He's talking about buying Greenland and taking over the Panama Canal and yada, yada, yada. And Democrats and people in the media are absolutely losing their shite. Oh, go ahead and pull. That's fine. They're losing their shite over this, okay? Fetterman, to his credit, is like, guys, y'all need to like chill out a little bit. Let's work our way through some of this. Let's talk this thing out. And with that, I will let Tracy start this at her convenience. Let me know when you're ready, darling. Because this actually, like I say, Fetterman comes off with a lot of common sense. Go ahead.
All right, here we go.
Talk about like there's a lot of talk about Greenland, for example. Now, and I know there's a lot of freakouts, and of course I would never support taking it by force. But I do think it's a responsible conversation if they were open to acquiring it, and whether just buying it outright. I mean, if anyone think that's bonkers, it's like, well, remember the Louisiana Purchase? Oh, I think Alaska was a great deal too. $50 million, I think it was. It was it was referred to as Seward's Folly, and now that was Alaska now. So, I mean, open to having all kinds of conversations as well. And now I don't think it's not helpful to freak out, but some things might work out, some may not, but that's part of an ongoing dialogue. But he hasn't even taken office in 2 weeks. And, we really need to pace ourselves if we're going to freak out over every last tweet or every last conversation or press conference. Because, but
that's a good one, John. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, we are here to work together.
Yeah.
And some things we can agree or disagree. But I think that's
okay. Now I want to talk about this for a second before we go to the next clip. Now, like I said, do I expect John Fetterman to go hand in hand with Donald Trump for the next 4 years? No, I don't. He's going to disagree with him. There's going to be moments he's going to John, I wish you could have walked the ground with us. But finally, somebody in the Democrat Party is actually like, okay, look, Trump says things. Y'all are just absolutely just getting bent out of shape over every daggone thing he says and does. If he breathes the wrong way, you guys are freaking out about it. He's like, look, we're supposed to be working together here. Let's have some conversations. Yeah. And the irony in all this to me, this is the guy, and I'll freely admit this, I said, Caligula once elected his horse to the U.S. Senate. I guess the Democrats are sending a jackass of maybe the worst kind from Pennsylvania. Okay. But the irony to me is this: the guy among the Democrats who you would think would have the least amount of sense for physical reasons, okay, is actually speaking more commonsensical truth to his own party than maybe anybody has done in God knows how long. Why are the Democrats where they are right now politically? There's a lot of reasons, but one of them is they're kowtowing to a group of people that are pulling them further and further to the ideological left.
That are in a vast minority in the country.
And it's a tiny minority that's pulling the majority of a political party to its own oblivion.
Yeah.
Fetterman is sitting here going, wait a minute. Why shouldn't we be open to acquiring Greenland?
What's wrong with American expansionism? The reason the media and those far leftists are screaming about it is because they want the retraction of the West. They so hate America and the West. They want the whole West to fall, so they're definitely against Western expansion. And how do we grow? We Western expanse.
and there's 1,000,001 good reasons to try to acquire Greenland in a peaceful, transactional manner.
Greenland's already a Western country. It just happens to be controlled by
Denmark.
Yeah,
and I'm willing to sit down and say, hey, they've got certain strategic minerals, and this is what doesn't get mentioned in the press very often. There are certain specialized minerals that we need in order to be able to do some of what we do. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the Chinese right now, I won't say they got the market cornered on it, but daggone if they're not getting close. We need to counterbalance that somehow. And if we can't do it in places like Africa, which we almost could have done it in Afghanistan if we hadn't pulled out in such a disastrous manner.
Or if we had better relations with Africa, we've allowed China.
Or if we had better relations with Africa, exactly. We've got to find some way to be able to counterbalance China's almost lockdown control of special minerals that we utilize for a lot of the stuff that we do. Well, Greenland supposedly is just rich in minerals. What if we acquired it and started, mining that for our own purposes? We wouldn't have to be fooling around in Africa. We wouldn't have to be fooling around in certain other places in the world.
We wouldn't have to get involved so much in Taiwan.
Bingo. And and Gypsy, I agree with your comment completely. USA and U.S. presidents used to think and act big. If Trump pulls this off, and again, who knows what's going to happen here, but if he pulls this off, this is going to be, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think I'm too far off. This would be the largest land expansion of the American government since the Louisiana Purchase. Mm-hmm. Okay. Alaska's big. Don't get me wrong. It's got a lot of territory, but Greenland by comparison is bigger than Alaska. And if Trump pulls this off short and long term, I could make a pretty good argument that this will go down in history as one of the smartest land acquisitions the American government ever engaged in. Peacefully, might I add.
In addition, it will give us another freehold to defend ourselves against Asia.
Well, Alaska serves as a buffer against Russia. More particularly, and I'm thinking more back to the days of the old Soviet Union. But let's be honest, it serves as a buffer and a jumping off point. If we got to do something in the Pacific, okay, we can do some stuff out of Alaska and we can do some stuff out of Hawaii. The acquisition of Greenland would give us a jumping off point if we got to go do some stuff in Europe. Because let's be honest, how much longer are we going to have those military bases in Europe?
Right.
Yeah,
and just like Gypsy said here, China would love to annex Greenland. They absolutely was.
Better that we get our hands on it before the Chinese do. It makes perfect sense to me.
And I think the people of Greenland would love to be American citizens.
Yeah, if nothing else, they get a McDonald's out of it.
Everybody, this is Gremlin. I'm going to put her down.
Hello, Gwemlin.
She's been a little needy since I got back from vacation. But in addition to that, I still say that my whole hypothesis about how to deal with Taiwan without getting into the scuffle with China is to not annex Taiwan, not talking that.
No.
But to offer any Taiwanese that currently work in a chip factory that want a pathway to American citizenship for them and their entire family, because that's skilled labor that we need, they get the fast track. Bring them all over here. Put a factory in some of the desert land in Arizona, New Mexico, California, and let them go to town making chips and teach them other Americans how to make chips. They're already westernized. They already speak English. It'll be a very easy transition. And you know what? China may walk in there to an island with just people that have no skills at all waiting there.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be the 21st century version of the Operation Paperclip, but yeah, it's not a bad idea. But I mean, Fetterman's reaching out. I mean, not directly. It's not like he's standing up there like a Jeremiah and saying, "Hey, you know, we got to get our act together here." But he's with a voice of sanity, at least on this issue, is saying, "Look, he's going to say stuff that's going to make people freak out, but maybe we ought to listen to the guy. Let's see if we can find a way to get it." Which leads to the second clip, and this one to me is more him preaching to his own party, and he's got a message that's very legitimate. This clip has to do with the Laken-Riley bill, it's now working its way through Congress. He's a sponsor on it in the Senate. Ruben Gallego of Arizona is a sponsor on the Senate. So when you're ready, play it.
Oh, it just passed the House, correct? And you're saying that Ruben Gallego,
as I understand it, is a co-sponsor on it in the Senate.
Well, that's great. I thought he was just in the cartel's pocket, so that's good to hear.
He might be, but we'll see. Anyway, roll him.
Common sense. And I'd like to remind everybody that we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of migrants here illegally that have convicted of crimes. And why? I don't know why. Who wants to defend that, to allow them to remain in our nation? That. And now, if you're here illegally and you're committing crimes and those things, I don't know why anybody thinks that it's controversial that they all need to go.
Do you think that this was one of, if not the biggest issue for this election?
Well, I think if we can't, there's 47 of us in the Senate, and if we can't pull up with 7 votes, if we can't get at least 7 out of 47, and if we can't, then that's the reason why we lost. That's one of them. That's one of why we lost, in part.
Go ahead,
Brett. If you think about that, I mean, that's what he's saying.
Like, it's really common sense.
Now, to Fetterman's point, he's got a legitimate gripe here. It's like, look, this bill calls for the deportation of illegal aliens, illegal immigrants who are committing crimes. Who's going to argue against that? But when they took the vote in the House, there was 100+ Democrats that voted against this thing.
158, I believe.
Yeah, about 158.
And I was like, publish their names, show their names, and someone
show
did.
Their name.
And of course, AOC, 𝗪𝗓𝗄𝗏, all the common offenders were on there. Yeah. And you know what? People in their districts need to be made aware that they voted to keep criminal, illegal migrants in their neighborhoods.
Yeah, absolutely. But Fetterman's got a very valid point. Why would anybody argue against deporting illegal aliens or illegal immigrants who are committing crimes against U.S. citizens?
I don't know. That's the point. What are their motivations other than buying votes, thinking they're going to get them a path to citizenship and they're going to buy them votes or increase the electoral counts of blue states, and then they're going to migrate them over to swing states and red states to try to dilute the vote there. That's what it's all about. Also giving cheap labor to their corporate donors. Let's be honest.
Yep. And Fetterman's got the good common sense to realize if we can't come up with 7 Democrats in the Senate to vote for this piece of common sense legislation, then we deserve to. I mean, he flat out says it. If we can't get at least 7 Democrats to vote for this thing, we deserve to lose. And you know what? Fetterman's right. He's absolutely right. Now, like I say, do I expect John Fetterman over the next 4 years to vote lockstep with Donald Trump or be on the right side of Donald Trump on every issue? No, not necessarily.
I think he'll be there about 60, 70% of the time. You don't have to be a Republican to put America first. You don't have to be a Republican to be MAGA.
Yeah, that's just it. You've got people in the MAGA movement right now who are former Democrats: RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, etc., and so on.
What's his face? Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg.
You can't tell me Zuckerberg didn't vote Trump.
Yeah, but Zuckerberg. In my book, jury's still out on old Zucky baby. But finally, somebody inside the Democrat Party is looking at his own members and leadership and saying, guys, cool it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we got to go along with this guy on everything, but there's surely to God places where we can finally agree. And in doing so, he might be the one person, along with a handful of others, yet to be determined. Let's just see, because this is like, how do I want to describe it? This is like a shout in the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's the beginning of other voices reaching out and saying, hey, man, this is not getting us anywhere. Constantly fighting with Trump and constantly fighting with MAGA and the populist right is not getting us anywhere. Let's find some places where we can agree, fight on those places we don't agree, but at least not constantly be the party of no all the time.
Right. It's just like he said, or I've heard other people say, Trump was just trolling Trudeau about make Canada the 51st state. Now that Trudeau's gone, it's probably going to be Pierre, who's a conservative, who will talk to Trump in a serious fashion.
Yep.
And they will come up with an idea to lock down Canada's border and avoid the tariffs.
Yep.
I guarantee you they will.
Yeah.
The same as the president of Mexico has just said, she will gladly welcome the migrants back into Mexico and will process their travels on to their home countries from there. She did that real quick.
Oh yeah. And that's just it. It is fascinating to me. People don't understand why Trump does what he does. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've got a complete handle on it. I don't, because Trump will do something or say something. I'll be like, the heck did that come from? And then I'll realize
Sometimes
later.
I wish he would settle down, but he always has a reason.
Yeah, usually he's got a reason. And, and usually it's because he's trying to start a discussion for a negotiation. He's trying to stake out a spot and see, like, okay, have we got any room to dance here? Do you want to dance?
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand that about Trump. They don't get it about him.
I was shocked. I work with a lot of Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had some very candid conversations with them, and they were all happy that Trudeau's gone. They said the reason that their government-owned media their pure government-owned media does not report on it at all is their problem with immigration, both the illegal and legal, where you have all these people coming in, getting free health care, getting on their universal health care, sucking up the resources where Canadians that have been there can't get it, sucking up all the housing. That's the reason their housing is so expensive. They've got a problem with immigration too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But, finally there's at least in this moment, and maybe this is a one-time thing, maybe this is a passing thing, but it is my hope that this is the beginning of a trend, that maybe Fetterman, other voices in the Democrat Party are going to say, guys, you've been trying this now for going on 10 years and it ain't working. We got to go a different direction.
Orange man bad is not working. Let's make America great instead of saying orange man bad.
In the 90s, it was the Democrat Leadership Council, led in part by Bill Clinton, that helped pull the Democrats back from the days of Dukakis, Mondale, McGovern, etc.
Back from freeing prisoners for 3-day passes where they ran away and killed again, that kind of Democratic Party.
Yeah, maybe, just maybe, this could be the beginning of something, but yet to be determined. And with that, I hand it back over to the hostess.
Well, one final thought on Fetterman. Now, I didn't like Fetterman when I didn't think Dr. Oz was the best candidate. They had plenty of others they could have put. Not that I don't like Dr. Oz, but Fetterman ran as if he was a progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Some things he is.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of things he would not comment on.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Or he'd give very vague answers, which leads me to believe he's never been a lefty. He's always been a moderate.
Yep.
And now he feels like it's safe to come out and be a moderate in a way.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. And that's a very interesting observation from Robert 𝗂𝗃 about Trump. He definitely has a way of teeing up the good guy. He truly does. I agree. I agree with 𝗂𝗃 on that one. Absolutely.
Exactly. And we just
Yep.
hope that Mr. 𝗙𝗪 works with Trump, which I think he will. I think there's a very easy way to come to some negotiation where we don't have to tariff Canada. I don't want us to have to tariff Canada.
No.
But I want them to lock down their border and not let people over into our country. That's what it's about.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
All right. Well,
To you, my dear.
Speaking of Pacific Palisades, California. Pacific Palisades, California. It is a suburb about 20 miles west of downtown LA. It's upper middle class. It's upper class. It's a lot of wealthy people live there, but also a lot of working class and middle class that have inherited homes, family homes that still live there. And this is all that's left of it at this hour.
Jesus.
Okay, I guess let's park along this street. And then, Dave, if you can, just
Oh my.
go ahead of us and try to set up a signal.
A thriving
Right
suburb.
here. This is where it's got to be. This is, oh my God. What? I've never, look at this. Beyond comprehension. Oh.
1,000 homes gone in what was a thriving suburb of LA.
I think
Why?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because California will not clean up their forest floor. They still have the habit of diverting thousands to millions of gallons of water, just flushing it into the Pacific Ocean to save a freshwater fish that is no benefit to human beings. It's just a fish. Okay, buy fish. Let's get a few of them, put them in an aquarium, and let the rest of them go. And the fact that they knew this was going to be a bad fire season. They didn't stockpile water. No water in Pacific Palisades ran out at 3 a.m. this morning. There's no water in the fire hydrants at all. 1,000 homes gone. Last count, 14 people dead. Under 100% pure evacuation. 0% containment. 0% containment. And today, Gavin Newsom admits that he knew that it could be this bad on Sunday, did not dispatch the National Guard until late last night. And the mayor is in another country attending a presidential inauguration of a South American country. WTF, Brian?
I just sent you something, and it's not a spoken video. It's just something. If you would be so kind to pop that up here, I want viewers to watch this. And this comes from a Twitter poster named Amuse. And I'm going to read this, but I mean, when Tracy gets this pulled up, think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Think about the following. 8 years ago, the voters of California approved a $7.5 billion water bond to construct water storage facilities, and not one project has reached completion. Meanwhile, untold gallons of fresh snow melt and rain continue to flow into the Pacific Ocean. Now, if you want to take that down, because I'm going to rant for a second.
Go ahead.
8 years ago, the voters of California went by referendum and said, we want you to build water storage facilities. We want more water to be able to use it as we deem fit. What has the state of California done in, at least the 6 years that, Gavin Newsom has been there? Nothing. They haven't completed a single solitary damn water storage facility yet. I mean, there is so much, and this is where we're going to wind up covering this jointly. So y'all get ready, because I don't know about Tracy, but I'm ready to rant about this whole damn thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is, we were talking about this backstage. Would there still have been a wildfire in and around the area of Los Angeles? Probably. Because, I mean, that's just the
2
law
or 3 a year. 2 or 3 a year every year.
There's the law of probabilities. It's going to happen. Okay. If California would have actually done the things commonsensically they should have done, would there be any, would it have been as severe as it is right now? Probably not. And that is what makes me so blasted angry about this.
Another
I mean,
thing what Zippy's saying about insurance companies,
Yeah.
most insurance companies have pulled out of California, at least in
Yeah.
regards to homeowners.
Yeah.
Because they went to the government asking for the right to raise premiums a certain level because they couldn't keep up. It was denied by the Democratic government. And so what did they do? They pulled out. How many of those homes are uninsured or have to have some sort of government protection?
Or minimally insured and will never cover the replacement cost.
Exactly.
Yeah, which goes to something else, which the state of California does not give a damn, apparently. I mean, stop and think about this for a second. What do insurance companies base their pricing on? Risk. Okay? The state of California will not do anything commonsensically to go against the environmentalist movement out there. They want nature to just be nature. Well, that's all very well and good. Well, when nature starts, creating the conditions that help burn down homes, that jack up insurance premiums, because remember, what do insurance companies base their pricing on? Risk. If they think the risk of a wildfire in Los Angeles or any other part of California for that matter is high, it's going to cost more to have insurance. And when they go to the government and say, hey, guys, you've got to do something. Help us out here. We're about to price these people right out of their shirts. And the government says, no, you can't raise rates. No. Well, okay, what do you expect the insurance companies to do? There are multiple effects coming off of this that if California would just use its common sense and do something to prevent this from happening on the front end, you wouldn't have all these problems on the back end. Exactly. This is the part that makes me mad about all this.
And to show that I'm not biased, Florida has a similar problem with hurricane insurance.
Yeah.
But guess what? They do allow the insurance companies to raise rates periodically when it's called for. And they have a government fund that is funded under a separate category to assist in the cleanup and repair of hurricane-struck areas. So why can't California just look at what Florida's doing and do the same thing? Oh, because it's a red state.
Yeah. And the worst part now, lest you all think that Tracy and I are just, being, well, I'm being a curmudgeon, she's being a lady. Lest you think that, we're being a little bit harsh on the state of California. I mean, I haven't got the tweet pulled up, but I got one here that's got you remember when Trump went on Rogan and he was talking about California? I just sent you something in private chat.
Got it.
And while you're pulling that up, everybody's known this about California for years. When Trump was in during his first term, he kept telling Gavin Newsom, you've got to do something about cleaning out the underbrush. You've got to do something about this. Newsom didn't do a thing. So Trump was on with Rogan back during the election, and he had the following to say about California's current situations. And with that, roll them, Smokey.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I said, do you have a drought? No, we don't have a drought. I said, why don't you have no water? Because the water isn't allowed to flow down. It's got a natural flow from Canada all the way up north. Water, more water than they could ever use. And in order to protect a tiny little fish, the water up north gets routed into the Pacific Ocean. Millions and millions of gallons of water gets poured. I could have water for all of that land, water for your forests. Your forests are dry as a bone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dangerous.
That water could be routed. You could have everything. Oh, not only dangerous, billions of dollars a year they spend on forest fires. And, there's a case with the environment. They're not allowed to rake their forests because you're not allowed to touch it. And all they have to do is clean their forest, meaning rake it up, get rid of the leaves, get rid of, leaves that are sitting there for 5 years. And
we'll certainly get rid of the dead fall.
And get rid of the trees that are fallen.
Yeah.
And this is just it. Everybody knows about this. Everybody outside of California is trying to tell the Californians, would you, for the love of God, clean up the underbrush, clear out the underbrush? You can't prevent necessarily a forest fire from happening, but for the love of God, you could keep the effect from being as bad as it is.
How about
yet
this?
They won't do it.
If you insist on having all of that snowfall from Canada and Washington and all the northern and the Rockies, if you insist on having all of that just flow into the Pacific Ocean, another idea is you could run pipelines from the Pacific Ocean under the ground into the cities and do the same thing. You can fight fires with salt water. It's fine. I don't care how you do it, but you need to prepare for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just and then
what is that fresh water ecologically doing to the Pacific Ocean? What's it doing to the environmental balance of the Pacific Ocean? Have they ever done a study on that? You're so environmental, California. What is all that fresh water flowing into the Pacific Ocean doing to the microorganisms and the algae and everything else in the Pacific Ocean? Do you care? Probably not.
The voters of California 8 years ago voted telling the government of California, we want you to build more water storage facilities. We want more ability to use water as we deem and need to and see fit. California's government has done nothing on a $7.5 billion bond, or they're just dragging their feet toward building these facilities. You have people who've been telling California for years, guys, you've got to clean this stuff out. Then on top of that, you got the mayor, the newly elected mayor, Karen Bass, who, according to the New York Post, cut the funding to the fire department by $17.5 million.
Oh, and hired a chief because she's a woman and a lesbian.
Oh, yeah. Hang on a minute. Oh, yes. Now, lest y'all think that, again, that we're,
and I'm a lesbian, by the way, y'all. So I tell you, it should be of any job in the world, soldier, police officer, doctor, nurse, firefighter should be a meritocracy above all.
And I just sent you the clip for in private chat for this fire chief for LA. Is she worried about getting the best people there? Is she worried about making sure they can do the job? No. It's all about diversity. And if you don't believe me, you're gonna get an idea of what the priorities are out in California. And Tracy, when you're ready, let it roll.
Inspired. She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I say, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part of a cohesive team.
The chief also checks another box when it comes to inclusivity and diversity at this department. She's a proud member of the LGBTQ community.
That just kind of opens the door of people that thought, wow, I didn't even know that was an opportunity for me. I am super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy.
Just, who cares? Look, I don't care that she's a lesbian. Fine. I don't care that she's a member of the LGBTQ plus community. I don't care. Is she the best person for the job? And is she doing everything she possibly can to protect the citizens and the property of Los Angeles, California? I'm not so sure. And she wouldn't really have to worry about diversifying her damn fire department if the fire department in LA wouldn't have terminated or suspended a bunch of people, for not getting the jabby. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
How many firefighters in Los Angeles lost their jobs because they wouldn't take the jab?
Well, Gypsy saying this is 100% engineered. I don't know about that, Gypsy. Maybe. I mean, nothing's beyond the point of recognition, but I don't know enough about it to make that call. I know that's what Alex Jones is saying.
I will say this. How is this any different from Maui 2 years ago? It's almost the same set of circumstances.
But what's the point of it? What's the point of how does burning down a quarter of L or ever how much of 20% of LA, whatever that would equal, and destroying one of the most populous places in Hawaii. What does that accomplish? Let's say it is the globalist elite. What does that accomplish, really? What's the problem? Is it to create a state of emergency, martial law? Now that pretty much globalists are going out of power across the world, what good does it do besides creating chaos? What good does it do? What's the point?
Destruction and mayhem and dependence upon them for the aggrandizement of their power. That's all that that and the slightly cynical thing of, the Olympics are coming to LA in the very near future. Wouldn't mind getting our hands on some cheap land to build stuff with.
And
Hate to be
Gypsy,
conspiratorial.
I lived through the Nashville flood of 2011, which was also a 100-year flood. They do happen. They do happen, and they happen naturally.
Yeah. So I mean, this thing in LA, and again, would there have been a wildfire in California? Yeah, odds are probably so. The probability would be there. But does
but
it
the
have
negligence compared with
the
just
negligence?
This is California's negligence, right on to say, if they had qualified firefighters, a mayor that was present and attuned to what was going on outside the borders of our own, or within the borders of our own city, a governor that gave a damn, and they had done what the citizens wanted and built those water reserves, this would not even be national news. It would just be, California is having another wildfire, but it's 50% contained. Would probably be the news right now.
Yeah, and when Karen Bass, who's apparently, and we've got a clip here, she's traveling back to LA, and a reporter confronts her about this, and Gypsy had mentioned this earlier in the show. Had mentioned this earlier in the show. This gives you an idea of the quality of leadership that is in California right now. I mean, you don't have to play the whole thing. The first 30 or 40 seconds of it will do. But, what is her response? You'll hear it here in a second. You'll hear it.
Homes were burning. Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
Well, pretty obvious she has nothing to say for herself.
Nothing at all. Not a thing. Cut $17.5 million out of the city's budget, puts a fire chief in that I have no idea if she's even qualified or not, but apparently she's more worried about making sure the fire department is diverse as opposed to effective. You have a state government that absolutely is ignoring the will of the people and not building any water storage facilities, dumping millions of gallons of water out into the Pacific Ocean. And, I said this backstage and I'll say it again. For the innocent people who have lost their homes, property, etc., I genuinely feel sorry for. For the overall state of California, no, I'm not shedding a tear. I'm not.
For the elite
really
that have been supporting and calling for all this negligence and this weaponized environmentalism, this weaponized DEI, they deserve exactly what they get. But the common, ordinary citizen, I don't care what socioeconomic class they're in, I don't care what their race, religion, sexuality, you can dump the normal American citizen living there that is caught up in this just because they happen to be born in the state of California and they call it home and it's where they want to be. I really feel sorry for them. And if there's reputable charities out there, I will donate to send some relief that way.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Now, we've been really tough on Gavin Newsom here, but we have actually, let me see. I think, we did hear from him on this. And I will drop this one in private chat as well. Gavin did make a statement to the press, or maybe not the press, but to the people of California who are going through this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it accurately sums up his feelings. I think it really does. So, when we get a second, we'll get this. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We'll get this going.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever you're ready, just let it loose.
All right. I was hoping this is the one.
My name is Gavin Newscomb, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm the useless piece of shit responsible for your home burning down. So just keep giving me your insanely high taxes and keep voting Democrat so I can keep burning this motherfucking place to the ground. Thank you. Hi.
There you go.
True.
Now,
About true.
is that totally satirical? Absolutely, yes, it is. But you know what? May as well be saying it.
Yeah. I do have one video that I think just kind of shares a real human experience. And as a pet lover and a pet owner, I can totally agree. I can totally get behind this. So basically, let me play this for you, and it will kind of cap off our coverage of the fire.
Yeah.
Firefighters rescued a cat from a burning home in Tarzana. The owner was overcome with emotion, falling to his knees, hugging his cat, giving it water. That fire started last night near West Topham Street. Fire and smoke were seen coming from that roof. After some time, crews did manage to put that fire out. No other injuries were reported. And you can see there, all the material stuff can be replaced.
Yeah, very, very nice of those firefighters.
I saw a video, and I've seen this in several different places, that where this gentleman is inside of his house and he's talking to his pet. I guess it's his dog, and literally the flames are all surrounding the house. It looks
That's
like
one where the two men and the one dog were trapped, and they did get them out. From what I read, they were able to get out. But
I mean, talk about a hellscape of just unimaginable proportion. And
that
now
happened to me. You think about what would you do? You grab your family, you try to grab your pets, and maybe you try to grab your medicine.
Yeah.
If you like me, I'd grab my asthma inhaler, or maybe try to grab your IDs, your ID documents, and you get out.
Just like I say, would there have been a wildfire? Yeah. Would it have been nearly as severe if certain things had been done? No. Were they done? No. Why?
Yeah.
That can be debated till the cows come home. But yeah, I think Gypsy's right about one thing. This is so similar to Maui.
Yeah.
Same thing all over again.
And they will blame it on climate change.
Yeah, and they'll blame it on climate change.
But a lot of it is just negligence of, like, why aren't the power lines in California underground?
And why was the power allowed to stay on? You can see videos of power transformers and power lines sparking against.
Same in Maui. It's a hurricane zone.
Yeah.
The power lines should have been underground. It's all negligence of Democratic controlled areas. Florida, the power lines are buried. You don't see power lines in Florida like that. They're all buried.
Yeah. Yep.
Same in Tennessee. I mean, our power lines are above ground because we are a tornado area, but we do have precautions that protect us from tornadoes, and they will cut the power if a bad tornado comes through to avoid a fire.
Yep. And, negligence, agreed. Deliberate negligence, just plain old thoughtless negligence, well, that can always be debated.
Yeah.
But the pattern is there. You have a bunch of people that are taking actions or not taking actions in some cases, and they're exacerbating situations that by themselves would be bad and are being made worse. That's the thing that just makes you
seeing
angry.
What Joe Biden is attempting to do right now. Yeah, I believe there's deliberate evil on the part of some politicians. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think a lot of it is just pure stupidity. They've sworn their allegiance to the wrong God.
Yeah.
DEI and environmentalism is their God.
Yep. Yep. Wholeheartedly concur. Wholeheartedly concur. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been fuming about this topic all day long, and every more I find out, the more mad I get.
Mm.
I'm with
I
you.
think some heads will roll. I think heads will roll after this. They better.
They better.
If California doesn't do something after this, if they don't have I mean, they swung pretty hard right in the presidential election. I hope their local elections start to swing right too. They need to get a second party in there. I'm not saying the Republicans are all good, but they need to have more than just one party control.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Oh, my word. Just, yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
All right. So that's really all I had. I have a couple of clips from Trump's presser the other day, which apparently was a barn burner. So,
yes,
in a good way.
Yes, it might be a good idea to go to a lighter topic before we get to the next one that I've got, because if you think things going on in LA are bad, wait till you get to this one that's overseas, and this will just
oh yeah.
Lord.
Let's hit it. Take us to the UK, Brian. Tell us what's going on there.
Speaking of evil politicians, ladies and gentlemen, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, is in quite a bit of hot water right now for any number of different reasons. First of all, Keir Starmer is a putz. Let me say that again. Keir Starmer is a British putz. Okay? The man has no personality, no charisma, no anything. He's Prime Minister because the Conservatives and or the Tories, as they're commonly known, are so effing incompetently stupid, they basically screwed up years of control and handed it back over to the Labour Party, of which Keir Starmer is their leader. But he's not their leader because he's charismatic or bright or smart or anything else. He just happens to be there. Okay. So he's got all that going against him. But now it's coming out that old Keir's, at a previous life in government, had a chance to do something about one of the biggest issues going on in Great Britain and has been going on for some years now, and apparently didn't do anything about it. And the spotlight's getting turned on him, particularly compliments of Elon Musk. I don't know how much you guys have seen what's going on over there, but Elon Musk has been absolutely lighting up Keir Starmer on Twitter, saying that he is complicit in crimes related to grooming gang attacks that have been taking place in Great Britain for the past 10 years or more, and that something needs to be done about this.
Now, explain to me what a grooming gang is. I have an idea, but I've seen it so much, I haven't really delved into it. Can you explain to me what that is?
As I understand it, well, I'll just read you. Tell you what, let me drop a link in private, and you can pop this up, and this will give folks an idea of a little bit about what's going on if they haven't been following this issue. But I'll start reading the headline while you're pulling it up. There's no video to go with this. It's from the UK Daily Mail. Here's an example of one individual. Rochdale grooming gang ringleader, very comfortable life in Britain after a decade after he was released and told he'd be deported. The ringleader of an Asian grooming gang is still living in a town where he committed his horrific crimes almost a decade after he was released from jail and he was told that he would be deported. 𝗏𝗏 Abdul-Rauf is walking around Rochdale like he owns the place, according to shocked neighbors who can't understand why he's not yet been kicked out. Mail Online can reveal the 55-year-old's been working for a takeaway delivery app, prompting fears he might meet one of his victims during the course. He is among 9 members of the Rochdale grooming gang who were jailed for raping and trafficking young children across England in 2012. Let me read that again, and I apologize for the graphicness of this. So if you haven't heard this, what's going on up to now, apologies in advance, but, Rochdale, he is among a group that were jailed for raping and trafficking young kids in England in 2012. Rauf was told he'd be deported to Pakistan in 2014 after serving 2.5 years of a 6-year prison sentence. The presence of the former taxi driver in the town where he carried out his crimes adds fuel to the fire over demands that the government hold a national inquiry into the grooming gang scandal. 𝗙𝗍𝗏𝗧 is embroiled in a bitter war of words with Elon Musk, who used his X platform to launch a war of words against the prime minister, saying he had failed to prosecute the gangs when he was the head of the Crown Prosecution Service. The prime minister was accused of, quote, smearing those who have demanded another inquiry into the rape of thousands of young girls by predominantly Pakistani men by calling them far right. And here's a picture of this guy who committed atrocities against British children back in 2012, along with a group of other people. Okay?
And he's delivering food.
And by the way, and if you want to take that down, this isn't just confined to like one part. Yeah, this is like various cities all over Great Britain. Okay? And 𝗙𝗍𝗏𝗧, back when he was the head of, let me find the exact title of it.
So you have these gangs that are from
mostly Middle Eastern countries.
Have these basically Middle East, where
Yep.
they traffic young children. They form gangs and they traffic young children amongst themselves.
Yeah, I've got another article here, and I'll pop it into private chat, and you can pull it up when you're ready to do it. I mean, like I say, this isn't just something that was isolated to the village or town of Rochdale in Great Britain. I mean, I got another story here, and I'll read the headline while Tracy's pulling it up. Teenage mother was abused by older Asian men from the age of 11, stabbed and drowned in a canal by her, quote, boyfriend in an honor killing. Now her family backs calls for inquiry into grooming gangs cover-up. Okay. Young lady is named Laura Wilson. She was 17, was the victim of a white honor killing. Okay. And just to read a little bit of this, the family of a murdered teenage girl who was Britain's first white honor killing victim have condemned a grooming gang's cover-up and backed calls for a new national inquiry into the scandal. Young mother Laura Wilson was repeatedly stabbed and left to die in a canal by an abuser after council workers failed to act on reports she was being exploited by older Asian men. An inquiry held after her murder by 𝗥𝗍𝗏𝗃 Asghar, who could soon be eligible for parole, criticized officials at Rotherham Council after hearing how she was preyed upon by gangs in the town from the age of 11. Laura was killed just days after she revealed to families of some of her abusers how she had been in a sexual relationship with them, including having a daughter by an older man who is now described as a mentor to her murderer. I mean, this is some of the most horrific stuff. And again, my apologies. My apologies for the graphicness of this. If you are not familiar with this subject, and believe me, you guys know the topics I normally cover, but this, I mean, and I'm not getting into this subject necessarily for political purposes, okay? To me, this one goes beyond politics. This is just plain old right and wrong.
No, 𝗙𝗍𝗏𝗃, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I mean, this is something that touches everybody in one form or another, be it people living in Great Britain or, for example, Gypsy, who has a friend in Great Britain, lost a daughter to this sort of thing. And 𝗙𝗍𝗏𝗃 had a chance years ago when he was the head of, let me find his exact title again.
Crown Prosecution.
Crown Prosecution Services, to do something about this. And apparently either didn't do enough or didn't do anything at all. And now you've got, an
epidemic. If he had a precedent, this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. And now you've got, and I'm going to pop one more in here into private chat. You've got people in Great Britain saying, hey, we need to reopen investigations into this stuff. And there was a vote in the House of Commons today. Now, folks, this is something that ought to go past the Labour Party or the Tory Party or being conservative or being liberal or whatever. What happened in Parliament? Guess what? The Labour Party, of which 𝗙𝗍𝗏𝗃 is a member, voted down the request for a new national inquiry into grooming gangs as 𝗙𝗍𝗏𝗃 leaves himself in the opinion of the UK Daily Mail. This is their headline. Okay. as Keir Starmer leaves himself open to fresh attacks by Elon Musk. Okay, look, this is not about Elon Musk or Keir Starmer or anybody else. This is about damn right and wrong. If Keir Starmer wasn't doing what he should have been doing years ago, no, I'm sorry. Have the discussion. Okay? And look, and again, this gets into British politics. I'm not a citizen of Great Britain. Am I totally versed on everything I ought to be knowing about? But this is just common sense, folks. I'm sorry. If what is being alleged about Starmer is true, that he did little to nothing or covered up some stuff, maybe even, who knows, this needs to be looked into with a fresh set of eyes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The hell with the political ramifications. If he didn't do what he should have been doing and innocent children in Great Britain were damaged or out and out killed, this guy doesn't deserve to hold office. This guy ought to be in a jail cell. And I'm talking about Keir Starmer. All right.
It's like this lady right here looks like she's a Tory leader that debated him on the floor.
Brandybach, yes. And she's actually one of the better ones from what I give and understand about her. But she's the leader of the Tories in the House of Commons right now. And she's like, look, and she had a great line. She's like, will you please stop acting like a lawyer and will you start acting like a leader? And I thought, lady, I don't know much about you, but I can back you up on that one. I'll back you up on that one completely. And let's just talk about the politics of this for a second, okay? Let's assume for a moment Keir Starmer did everything he should have done when he held the position that he did some years ago. Okay? Then tell everybody in the Labour Party in the House of Commons to vote for the inquiry. If he's going around trying to stop this new inquiry from happening, even if he's innocent in this, okay, he's looking like a schmuck. It's going to look like in the eyes of the British people, he is covering up something, either on his behalf or somebody else's. The smart thing for him to do politically, ride the storm. Wherever it leads, you ride it out. But to just block this thing outright, politically, is the dumbest thing he could ever do. Now, practically, this inquiry needs to happen. It just needs to happen.
And if they can't get it shoved through Parliament, King Charles needs to do some sort of, I don't know if he can do some sort of crown order to do it, or if he even would, because we know he's all up with the globalists that are allowing some of this stuff, then it needs to happen on a local level. People need to start investigating this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
if you can't deport them, if you don't have the power to deport them, you can at least throw them in jail.
Well, and that gets to another question, and this is one of the great issues roiling around Great Britain right now, the effects of unchecked immigration. You've been allowing, and again, I'm not saying that everything that happened to every child is the result of an immigrant to Great Britain. That's not my point. But one of the great claims is that, look, this is happening because of a certain group of people from a certain part of the world who are part of a certain religion. Okay, I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Now, has Great Britain allowed itself, through negligence, bad choices, deliberate policy, have you basically harmed the children of Great Britain through what you did by allowing these people in the front door?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, this needs to be talked about. For better or worse, it needs to be talked about. And for Keir Starmer to block this is, as far as I'm concerned, just out and out despicable.
Oh, it's evil. It
is.
You've got legitimate. This is at least two gangs that have been.
Oh, and there's more. There's more than that. I mean, if I want to dig up a whole bunch of stories out of the UK Daily Mail or other places, I could sit here all evening and talk about this subject.
They're treating this the way that the media here treated the Venezuelan gangs taking over apartment buildings. And the way they treated the people, the migrants eating pets and domestic animals out of local parks, and that was proven, as I recall, both of those were proven to have actually been happening. And I mean, there's been cover-ups of this stuff, according to people, going on for years.
at various levels, various individuals, various ethnic groups, various nationalities, various religions, etc. And for Keir Starmer to try to get this blocked is just absolutely despicable. I mean, look, I don't blame. I mean, look, Elon Musk is doing whatever he's doing for his own motivations. I get it. Okay. But yeah, somebody needs to shine a light on this thing. And if he wants to take a flamethrower to Keir Starmer over this, more power to you, brother. Go for it.
Yeah.
Have at it. Because the lion weasel deserves it.
Yeah. And I think with Elon Musk, I think, he comes from South Africa, which was a British colony. It was very heavily British colonized. I think in part of the United Kingdom at one point. So I think with that and coming to the United States, I think Elon Musk just legitimately cares about the West and Western values.
Mm-hmm. And like I say, for the members of the Labour Party in the House of Commons to vote to block this thing, you guys are inviting. I mean, look, there's a political aspect to this and there's a moral aspect to it. Okay. Let's just talk the politics for a second. For you Labor people in the House of Commons to be voting against blocking an inquiry. We're not talking about laying down sanctions on somebody. We're not talking about just a fresh set of eyes looking into this thing. For y'all to be voting down an inquiry into this thing, you are inviting political disaster down on yourselves. Your party is not popular in Great Britain anyway.
Because they don't want to alienate this potential voting bloc. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They don't want to appear xenophobic. They don't want to appear racist.
And then there's the moral question. Okay. Most of the British MPs against national inquiry into grooming gangs was a vote of 3. Look at this. 364. What is that? There's a grand total of like 400.
That's an 80-20 split.
That's an 80-20 split. Mm-hmm. An 80-20 split. Now, I don't know the breakdown of the vote. Was it exclusively Labour Party in the 364? Maybe there were some Tories. Who knows? But my point is this. Again, there's a political component and a moral component to this. The politics of this, for you Labour MPs that are voting against this inquiry, you are inviting political disaster. You're not popular to begin with. Nobody likes your economic policies. You're taking Britain down the road to hell. Further down the road to hell than they already are right now.
You're going to end up like the American Democratic Party, which is your equivalent.
Yeah. And, that's one thing. On the moral side of this, if Keir Starmer, by his negligence or deliberate actions, did not protect the children of Great Britain from what happened to them, and you guys cover up for him, shame on all of you. Shame on all of you.
You saw what happened to that stabbing that happened about back in October, where the African migrant, and I'll say it's Middle Eastern Africans that they're talking about, and Africans that they're talking about, knifed a young girl at a prep school to death. Yep. And that got buried. It hit the news for about a day, and then it was just buried. And everybody that spoke out about it was called racist and xenophobic. I don't understand what the motivations for that is. I don't get it. Some cultures do not mix. The only cultures that should be coming here are ones that want to be American or want to be British citizens and want to assimilate to our culture, religion aside, that want to assimilate to our culture and have Western values. Those are the only ones that should be coming here, and they should also offer a skill that will benefit the country to which they're coming.
Yeah. And M169 brings up a really good point. Tommy Robinson, controversial figure in British politics. But he shined a light on this, and for his trouble, he got his butt arrested for it. Mm-hmm. People have been trying to talk about this for a while now. And we'll see where this goes. But I tell you what, right now, Keir Starmer has more heat on him than he's felt in a long time. Now, where does it go? Morally, legally, politically, I don't know. But keep an eye on this, folks, because I'm not saying that this is going to take down Keir Starmer or the Labour government in Great Britain. Again, I'm not necessarily even focusing on the political angle of this. Okay. This is just, to me, a question of basic morality. Mm-hmm. There are people in Great Britain who either through their deliberate actions or through their negligence did not protect the children of Great Britain. Okay. Women have been raped, killed,
impregnated as a minor.
Impregnate is a minor. Atrocities that I don't even want to begin to think about. They're that horrible. Okay. And just to even look into it. Nope, can't do that. Nope. We got to
Just
protect
send
𝗓𝗏
some investigators and reopen the case. That's all they're.
Yeah.
We investigate cold cases. We open cold cases all the time.
A national inquiry into this. Nope, we can't do that. We got to protect 𝗓𝗏's. We got to protect our own. A pox on you. A pox on your house. And a pox on your country until you come clean on this.
Exactly.
That's what I got to say about it.
Sad.
Yeah. So with that, and now that I've ranted on we need a lighter touch. How about I turn it back over to you for something that we can yuck about?
Well, I just kind of wanted to look at the barn burner. Just a few little light quotes from Trump's barn burner of oppressor that he did yesterday. Particularly as he was talking about Hamas. It was just music to my ears, some of the things that he was. What?
No. It's Trump, and God love him. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth. Bless his heart. That's all. I'm laughing at you. I'm thinking, oh Lord, here we go.
Well, here you go. Well, during his presser, he brought up the member of his staff that has been working on a deal between Israel and Hamas to get the hostages released. And he had already been kind of in his normal banter with the press, as he normally is. They were asking him about his stat on Ukraine, what he was going to do, would he engage with force? He says, well, that's military strategy. I'm not going to talk to you about that. But finally, he got to the Middle Eastern conflict. And if I can get this to load, but I'll go ahead and give you the gist of it. Basically, he brought up a member of his team that's been working on the peace deal and basically had him give a kind of a progress report on it. And then basically he interjected, as Trump often does. And it was just beautiful to clearly specify his stance on Israel and Hamas. Sorry, my... Brian, she's a little nippy. She wants my attention.
Look, this is a family show. We like pets, dogs and cats, so it's all good.
I thought I could get the headphones unhooked, but I couldn't. I'm sorry.
It's your life. This is fun. I'm perfectly fine, dear. It's all good.
All right. If you're new here, I'm normally more professional than that. But I am a real person. I do have pets wandering around. But of course, as Trump does, he basically broke it to them seriously. So let's take a look at this.
All right.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was, and many people are killed. They're no longer hostages. I have people from Israel and others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S. All hell will break out.
Wow.
And there you go. If all the hostages are not free by the time he takes offices, all hell will break out in the Middle East, and it will not be good for Hamas. That's the kind of leadership we need.
Yeah, and here's the thing. For anybody who in the Middle East I'm not trying to hype Trump any more than what he is. Trump can hype himself and his statements all he wants to, but my point is this. Trump is willing to do some nasty stuff to get things accomplished. The there's some leaders who are no longer in the Hezbollah or Hamas movement that Trump took out while he was in office. So don't take what he's saying as an idle threat. I mean, when the man walks into a room with the leader of the Taliban in Afghanistan and says, we're going to leave, but we're going to do it on certain terms, and you're going to follow them to the letter, and the guy says, why should I pay attention? Trump pulls a picture of the guy's house out and says, you take a look at this for a second. I'll be back in just a moment. And it's a satellite photo of the guy's house.
Yeah.
He got his point across. So for those of you in the Middle East that, Trump's an old man. He won't, no, don't go to sleep on this guy. Again, do not go to sleep on Trump.
I guarantee. Now, for people that don't know, and I'm sure most of our audience does, all that nice relief money that you send to the people of Gaza, and I'm talking about just the people that live there, none of that ever gets to them. That is funneled into the pockets of the Hamas leaders. None of them, and flash, none of them live in Gaza. They live in nice luxury houses and high rises in the capital of Qatar. And I guarantee you Trump has satellite images and drone configurations on all of those nice high rises in Qatar. He's not going to attack Gaza. He will take those leaders out where they live, and he'll and if he has to take out the Qatar government to do it, he will do it.
Yep. Oh yeah. So never ever take Trump and say, he won't do that.
In fact, I believe he's already threatened Qatar that they need to expel the Hamas leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And on that light, hopeful moment that we finally have a leader willing to build peace through strength, which is a policy that our government has used for years up until just recently. I'm going to go ahead and call this stream before my cat swipes my entire computer into the floor.
Oh, no.
She's been like super, I apologize to everybody. She has been like super, super clingy since we got back from Florida because she had to stay in a kennel for 2 weeks. And so she has been attached to me wherever I go. She's been making an appearance in every meeting at work, everything. She just wants my attention.
Well, by all means, let's let Gremlin have mom's attention. So yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, everyone, you know where to find me on X, on YouTube, Gen X Marks the Spot. Brian, tell everybody where they can find you.
You guys can find me on Twitter at The Front Porch C1. You can find me on Rumble at The Front Porch Conservative. And you can find me on my recently rebranded channel, Talking on the Front Porch, which is going to be rebranded in a few more days to finally get it to where I want it, which is Chatting on the Porch. I've got a live stream tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern. I've invited Sean from 𝗟𝗏 and Kelly Lamb, who is a former reporter for Rebel News. We're going to talk about what's going on up in Canada. And that's on my channel tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern. And this Saturday morning will be Front Porch Brunch. So, looking forward to all of that and hope you guys will continue to follow, and thank you so much for all your support and for getting me within this close to 1,000.
Go subscribe if you haven't. Please.
Yeah.
And we'll be back together next Wednesday night on Brian's channel for that edition of the Wednesday Night Newsroom. And until then, we are